Deep in the heart of the Sahara Desert, beneath shifting dunes and blistering heat, lies a secret so extraordinary that historians still struggle to explain it. This is the true story of Timbuktu, an ancient African city that once held over 700,000 manuscripts. These were books so advanced, so mysterious, and so ancient that they completely challenged everything we thought we knew about human history. But the real mystery isn't just that this knowledge existed. The real mystery is how it survived. Because for centuries, powerful empires, invading armies, and even modern governments tried to erase it from existence forever. If you stood in the Sahara Desert today, you'd see nothing but endless sand, empty, silent, and unforgiving. But 800 years ago, in the 13th century, this same barren land was home to one of the richest and most intellectually vibrant cities on earth, Timbuktu. Located in what is now modern-day Mali, in West Africa, Timbuktu was a legendary center of trade and scholarship. This was a place where gold was so common that people measured it by weight alone. A city where camel caravans, stretching for miles, arrived laden with salt, spices, and textiles. But its greatest treasure wasn't gold, it was knowledge. Scholars traveled from Europe, Arabia, and Asia to study at its great Sankore University, a center for learning that rivaled any in the world. They came to study mathematics, astronomy, medicine, law, and ancient philosophy. Timbuktu was Africa's true city of knowledge. Yet for centuries, the outside world didn't understand just how deep that knowledge went. The city's glory faded, its libraries fell into ruin, and its story was buried by sand and time. Colonial narratives later painted a picture of a continent without a written history, a place devoid of science or advanced learning. Timbuktu was dismissed as a myth, a forgotten outpost. That was the story everyone believed, until the manuscripts were rediscovered. In the 1960s, during Mali's struggle for independence from French colonial rule, a young librarian named Abdelkader Haidara embarked on a mission for the new government to find and preserve any historical documents that might have survived. His journey took him deep into the ancient city. He began knocking on doors, speaking with elders, and following whispers of old family heirlooms. And what he found was astonishing. Hidden inside broken mud brick houses, locked away in old wooden chests, and even buried beneath sand floors, he found manuscripts. At first, there were thousands of them, then tens of thousands, and soon hundreds of thousands. Some were written in Arabic, the language of scholarship in the Islamic world. Others were in ancient African scripts, some older than the invention of European print itself. The dates were staggering. Some were from the 1400s, others from the 1100s, the 900s, and some even dated back to the 700s AD. And as Haidara and other scholars began to translate them, the contents left the academic world stunned. They found advanced mathematical theories written centuries before Europe discovered them. There were incredibly detailed astronomical charts, mapping stars and planetary movements that were never recorded anywhere else at that time. They found medical descriptions of complex surgeries, treatments for diseases, and even texts on mental health and psychology. There were maps suggesting early global trade routes that historians had never considered. And there were deep philosophical debates about the nature of the universe, ethics, and human consciousness. But the most shocking manuscripts of all were the ones that, according to mainstream history, simply should not have existed. These were books containing scientific and philosophical knowledge that the accepted narrative claimed Africa was never supposed to have. This was knowledge that didn't fit the convenient story of a dark continent. This was knowledge that someone, at some point, had clearly tried to bury. As Haidara uncovered more and more of these texts, he learned the harrowing truth of their survival. For centuries, these manuscripts had been hunted, invading armies from the Moroccan conquerors of the 16th century to the French colonial authorities in the 19th and 20th centuries had tried to destroy them. Why? Because these books shattered a powerful and convenient myth. The myth that Africa had no written history, no science, no universities, no intellectual legacy of its own. Timbuktu's libraries proved the opposite. They revealed Africa as a brilliant center of global learning, a place of enlightenment long before Europe's own Renaissance. The existence of these manuscripts was a threat to the colonial justification for dominance. So, for generations, the people of Timbuktu protected this knowledge with their lives. Ordinary families became guardians of history. Some hid the precious manuscripts inside the mud walls of their homes. Some buried them in chests deep in the desert, marking the locations with secret signs passed down from father to son. Others fled with the books, carrying them on dangerous journeys across the dunes, sometimes never to return. Through the centuries, they whispered one single, powerful message through the generations: knowledge must survive, even if we don't. They understood that these weren't just books, they were the soul of their civilization. And then, in the 21st century, the darkest chapter in this story of survival began. In 2012, a militant group linked to Al-Qaeda invaded northern Mali and seized control of Timbuktu. They imposed a brutal regime, and among their targets were the city's ancient libraries. They began burning the manuscripts, declaring them to be un-Islamic, a fanatical claim that was tragically ironic, as many of the texts were some of the most profound Islamic legal and theological writings in the world. News reports showed smoke rising from burning libraries, and the world watched in horror. Haidara, now an old man who had dedicated his entire life to preserving this heritage, realized something terrifying. The world's oldest and most precious collection of African knowledge was about to be erased forever. This time, there was no hiding them in walls or burying them in the sand. This time, they had to escape. So he began a secret mission, an operation of breathtaking courage and ingenuity. Under the cover of night, in total silence, a network of ordinary people mobilized. Teachers, mothers, shopkeepers, fishermen, and even children risked their lives to save the manuscripts. This wasn't a military operation. It was a people's movement. They packed the fragile books into whatever they could find: simple rice sacks, sturdy metal boxes, and specially made wooden crates. They loaded them onto donkey carts, piled them into small river boats, and hid them in cars driving south. Some brave smugglers strapped the manuscripts to their bodies, wearing them like armor beneath their clothes as they passed through dangerous militant checkpoints. Through the darkness, through the ever-present danger, through sheer fear, they smuggled more than 350,000 manuscripts out of Timbuktu, right under the noses of the militants. It was an audacious and perilous exodus of knowledge, later becoming known as the Great Manuscript Escape. And thanks to the incredible bravery of these ordinary people, the greatest collection of African knowledge ever written survived. Today, those rescued manuscripts are safe, housed in climate-controlled facilities in Bamako, the capital of Mali. Historians, linguists, and scientists are still meticulously working to digitize, translate, and unlock the secrets held within their pages. And some of the things they're finding continue to challenge our understanding of the past. Some texts describe astronomical knowledge that seems impossible for the time. Some hint at ancient civilizations far older than recorded African history. Some speak of lost kingdoms, strange visitors, and even technologies that we still don't fully understand. Are these findings metaphors? Are they fragments of forgotten knowledge from a lost golden age? Or are they traces of something much older, a history that we are only just beginning to rediscover? No one truly knows for sure. Not yet. But one thing is absolutely clear. If those manuscripts had been destroyed, the world would have lost one of the greatest and most important treasures of human knowledge. The story of Africa, and indeed the story of humanity, would be immeasurably poorer because of the brave people of Timbuktu. Ordinary, courageous, and unshakable, the knowledge that almost vanished from the world forever now lives on, waiting to tell its story. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as incredible as I did, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more hidden histories from around the world. See you next time.